Welcome to this week's episode of Trojan Poetry. This week I've chosen the poem. Mike has not read it before. This was recommended, Auden, W.H. Auden, by Gary Swafford. So again, thank you, Gary.
Shout out to Gary. Thank you, Gary.
Yep. So this one is called If I Could Tell You, from 1940 by W.H. Auden. Time will say nothing, but I told you so. Time only knows the price we have to pay. If I could tell you, I would let you know. If we should weep when clowns put on their show, if we should stumble when musicians play, time will say nothing, but I told you so. There are no fortunes to be told, although, because I love you more than I can say, if I could tell you, I would let you know. The winds must come from somewhere when they blow. There must be reason why the leaves decay. Time will say nothing, but I told you so. Perhaps the roses really want to grow. The vision seriously intends to stay. If I could tell you, I would let you know. Suppose the lions all get up and go, and the brooks and soldiers run away. Will time say nothing but I told you so? If I could tell you, I would let you know.
This one's interesting. Can I respond
You think
first?
so? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, all the negatives going on, right? Like all of the, if I could tell you, I would let you know. So what's preventing the speaker from saying this poem? Basically, it's like, I could tell you all the things that are contained in this poem, but I can't, and I would let you know. And then the other thing too is the lines about time will say nothing, but I told you so. You know, it's like mocking you almost, like nah, 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 nah. And it reminds me of that poem we did, House is an Enigma, where it's just this presence, but it's not a friendly presence. It's an antagonistic presence.
Or
and
indifferent.
It's not, it's not going to help you in any way. It's not going to tell you the truth. So that's those are the first things that stood out to me. And then obviously there's all these individual little scenes that are going on in here. So I don't know if maybe that's something that you wanted to talk about, but why is time so nasty, I guess. Sorry.
Well, I don't know a lot of Auden, so I was happy to get the recommendation to look at that and kind of begin to explore him. And it was written in 1940, so right at the beginning of World War II, and kind of in the middle maybe of his career. He was born in 1907, so 33. It's a villanelle, and a villanelle is a very structured poem. If you don't know, it has 19 lines, as you can see. I'm just going to go through this real fast. 5 tercets, 1 quatrain, 2 rhymes. The first and the third line repeat, alternating at the end of each of the tercets.
I noticed that, especially as you were reading out loud.
Yeah. And it's hypnotic, right? The structure is it's there, but it didn't really bother me. Like, I didn't feel, oh, this is formulaic, or, oh, this is getting repetitive. Somehow it didn't do that, even though that's part of the point, of course, is to be repetitive. But tying it to World War II, I think, is very important, in that just the absolute uncertainty of the poet, right?
Yes.
He can't tell what's going to happen in the future. Time knows what's going to happen, but the only thing time is going to say is, well, I told you so, right? So it's a completely, like you said, like indifferent, not at all comforting, except for perhaps the roses really want to grow. Which is a weird line because, of course, roses, quote unquote, want to grow. They grow. I mean, the word want is maybe the sticking point there because
again, are they being prevented? Kind of like the speaker's being prevented from speaking. They want to grow, but are they not being allowed to grow?
But why? I mean, once a seed is planted, the roses are going to grow.
Unless someone
just by natural process, right? And I guess I thought he was saying it's not just a mechanical process, it's some desire, like roses
within
have
them,
a desire to grow.
Yeah.
That's how I don't know, I was just beginning to explore that idea. And then when I didn't at all think of it as being about war until that third to last line, suppose the lions all get up and go and the brooks and soldiers run away. And then I was like, oh, okay, like, now he's trying to imagine a world without the war. And then that's when it hit me that it is about that confusion and the sadness, just the confusion.
If you tie it into World War
Yeah.
II, that whole "I told you so," right? I mean, if you look historically what was going on leading up to World War II, obviously hindsight is 2020. When we read history, we're like, oh my God, it was so obvious. Why didn't anyone do something to stop this from occurring? And after that "Roses Really Want to Grow" line, the one about the vision seriously intends to stay. What is the vision? The vision of something better, maybe? It seems like it could be positive, and it intends to stay.
Right.
Hopefully it will, but again, it just seems to me like there's a lot of putting on the brakes in this poem. A lot of things are being prevented. And then there's an amazing group of poets by the name of Metallica, and their line,
yes.
"Time marches on." I
Oh.
think we're all familiar with that line, but I think that's what's going on here. For whom the bell tolls, it's just like there's nothing you can do. Time's going to say, "I told you so," right? You're going to get older, things are going to decay, things are going to fall apart, and there's nothing you can do about it. Grandfather time always wins,
Right, but within that, there is love, right? There are roses.
Yeah, there are winds that blow, there are fortunes to be told.
But there are no fortunes to be told.
Yes, there are no
Right.
fortunes to be told, right?
But there
So
are
again,
clowns,
that bleak outlook.
there's music, and that second stanza I don't quite. If we should weep when clowns put on their show, if we should stumble when musicians play, time will say nothing but I told you so. And I was thinking of clowns like politicians, or just, that start the war
Right.
kind of thing.
And the stumble when musicians play, maybe you're attempting to have fun and dance, but you can't quite pull
Right.
off the moves.
Right. And so kind of I wouldn't say bittersweet, but I don't even know, elegiac.
Whoa,
Yeah.
you're hitting
I
for
like
the
that
fences.
word.
I like
don't
that.
know.
That's
I
a
like
good
that
one.
word.
That's a
Very
good one.
wistful. I don't know if wistful is the right word.
I think I would say, if tone is the author's attitude towards the subject matter, then you've got a very, not quite
Resigned?
bitter, resigned.
Yeah,
And
resigned.
I wouldn't say resentful or bitter, I would say resigned, just like stoic, right?
Yeah.
This is how it is. I realize this. If I could tell you, I would, but I can't, so I won't. But
Right.
I'm just going to sit here and watch all of this happen around me.
Right. And I guess I was doing a little bit of research. He left Europe and came to America, and some people criticized him in 1940 for doing that because they saw it as him leaving the conflict, right, trying to run away. And maybe this is that kind of just he feels overwhelmed and kind of resigned, like there's nothing he can do but imagine, right? He can love. He can imagine the roses wanting to grow. He can imagine the lions leaving, the soldiers running away.
And now that
really,
I'm sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, now that you talked about that biographical piece, the idea of time will say nothing but I told you so, maybe he's feeling like, I told you so, right? That's the reason I left. I mean, I would look back on this guy and I would say, nice work, Auden. You got out just in time in 1940. You were smart, to get away from it. And maybe that's what he's trying to communicate in this poem. I told you so, right? I told you guys, war is coming. This is what's happening. It's going to get even worse. And we need to get out of here. But
So-
this does remind me of almost a song lyric, though, with the rhyme and the villanelle and everything.
and the repetition.
Yeah.
So yeah, very sad, but with some attempts to find hope. Poem and just an interesting structure. If you've never really looked at a villanelle before, to think about the impact of the repetition and how at the end it becomes a question. Right? Will time say nothing but I told you so? Right? He even questions that at the end, and then he's like, "Well, I don't know." He kind of puts his hands up and shrugs his shoulders.
Yeah, everything's up for grabs.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank you, Gary. Hopefully we did it justice.
So I guess one of my questions was, what can old poetry offer us? Like, how can looking at a poem from 1940, how can it help us understand our world or help us understand our connection to time?
Thanks for watching. Please join the conversation in the comments on YouTube or on Twitter at Trojan Poetry DGN. Also, check out our website at trojanpoetrydgn.blogspot.com.